on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. It's Kev from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And I know I have not been doing that lately because, I've been working day and night. Woo! And the third shift. So apparently, okay, yeah, YouTube is acting up, I see. Let's see if anybody's logging in. All right, no, that's not what I want. I want to get this one. Okay. Yeah. No notification. Am I even live? I see thumbs up coming in. Yep. Yeah. Okay. There it is. That's the one I'm looking for. All right. Make sure it's playing. Okay, so here's the deal with the phone. Phone's been acting up too because I broke it. And the phone that I normally live stream to, it took me through hoops. Took me like a half an hour just to get it, to play, or at least to do the live stream. So I'm gonna have to replace it. And you know how much of a pain in the butt that is. Oh boy, whole bunch of gibberish you got to go through. I thought we're gonna need 100,000 of your new emails and the passwords and stuff. Bothers me. So people are getting notifications. That's good. That's a start in the right direction. And since I am starting late, I probably should go ahead and get it going because, afterwards I gotta eat and do all that other stuff. So who knows? Might even try to get some salsa dancing in my life. I haven't salsa danced in forever. I might have to start taking a refresher course. Been dancing 12 years, and now I'm gonna be like, I can't remember. What's the count? Boy, it's a pain in the butt. All right, now, with that being said, we don't have time to wait until we got 100,000 subscribers watching. We got to start off with a motley crew and build from there. So with that being said, let's get busy. I think. Yeah, man. Silverback. Real gold. Real gorilla. It's kings in the building. Gorillas in here. Gorillas in here. Thank you so much. People said, they're happy to have me back, and I appreciate that because it's been a tough one. Yeah, buddy, it's been a tough one. So the long week of overtime is over, and hopefully I won't have to revisit that, moving forward. But, with no further ado, we want to go ahead and get into this because, my title, is Look, I'm Back, and I ain't going to let blacks be sorry. With that being said, before we get into that, here's a black woman right here on MSNBC being sorry. CNN being sorry. Oh, yeah, don't forget about that, too. How can I forget about my preliminaries? Please hit the like button, share my videos, follow me on all the other social media platforms. Text MAGA to this number right here, just in case I unexist for a long time. I tried to give y'all a warning that this week might have been choppy because I'm working overtime, but I should be somewhat back to normal next week. And of course, if you want to support the channel through my CASHAPP, PayPal link, all of that stuff, you can. It is below each video. Now, another special announcement. My Stop and Think About It channel. I'm uploading short clips, so I got somebody working behind the scenes helping a brother out. Yeah, man, putting together all of the shorts from these long, my long live streams and chopping them up and adding new material and stuff from my past that maybe you haven't seen yet. It's all being uploaded over to Stop and Think About It for your own listening pleasures if you don't have time to watch a whole long live stream, or you might want to send a particular clip from the live stream to some friends or just watch one of those clips. So please subscribe to that channel. When you do it, make sure that you turn your notification button on to all. We're going to celebrate once I hit 1,000, okay? Somebody said they've been watching them. See? There it is. So please check them out. All right, now let's get busy so we can get it.
The president has solved like 7 conflicts this year, I'm willing to give him some latitude to talk to Vladimir Putin and break the deadlock and try to move us toward a place where the killing comes to an end, because I think that's what we should all be praying for.
Absolutely, except the Democrats and the neocons. They want this mess to continue until, I guess, the last Ukrainian is standing. Now, you would think that after watching how Trump negotiates and his heart, you could tell Trump's heart is not in war. He really wants to save lives. He really wants to stop folks from dying. The source of his behavior is innocent, pure, and noble. But they want to go ahead and question it. They can't just celebrate Trump actually wanting to cease all of these wars and stuff like that, especially if it makes him look good. So here comes the lamestream media, and they send a black lady out here with blonde hair. Is she trying to be white? Is she trying to be Sydney Sweeney? That's what I'm wondering. What's up with the blonde hair? But they send this lady out here who is just a hater for nothing. A hater for nothing. And so Scott's going to have to go ahead and check her.
He actually hasn't solved 7 conflicts. There's been a lot of talk about that.
Well, what reality do you live in? He's literally got these guys in the White House where they're signing documents and shaking hands.
Yeah, but that don't count. Yeah, what reality are these people living? Oh, it's the TDS reality. That's what it is. It's the reality that says, you know what? I don't care what Trump does, what his intentions are, how good and noble his intentions may be, even his efforts to resolve wars and conflicts. They don't even want that. Anything that Trump does, they got to always assign a seedy motive. And if he does something, then they got to throw some question marks in. They got to make sure that actually it's not all that they say it is, and there's no evidence and this and that. So this chick is really going to try to gaslight us. And Scott just had it. He was almost fascinated at the fact that she even said that. He said, what reality are you living in? Haven't you been watching him do all of these things? It's unbelievable that these folks come on here. 100% goal and motive is to straight up trash Trump. Now, do you think Creepy Sleepy would have gotten all of these deals done that we're about to revisit? Do you think he would have been able to sit in a room with Pootie and negotiate? He would even try. He would have said, let this war continue, as whoever was running him would have said, that's right, Mr. President, let's keep sending money and weapons and stuff like that until all the Ukrainians are dead. So, let's see if what she's saying holds up.
Knowledge the man is solving peace.
India questioned about whether that was an actual
it happens on almost a weekly basis. Just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it.
Can't do that. Can't do that. Just acknowledge it, but I can't do that. I'm 100% sold on trying to make Trump look bad, even if he's doing good things. See, and this is where they lose their credibility. When everybody is going, wait a minute, we see Trump doing good things, but you guys are interpreting those good things as bad things or not really completed. He didn't really do it. So let's see.
And I will also acknowledge that Donald Trump seems to have an affinity for Vladimir Putin in a way. Now, you're not going to get away with calling me a liar. I know you're.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody came out and said it. Scott has had it up to here. Instead of just saying, I disagree with that, he just straight up was like, liar. You're lying. That's exactly what she's doing. Lying. If they can't beat Trump with propaganda and all of that stuff, they definitely can't beat him with the truth. They just straight come out and lie. Straight come out and lie. So we better go ahead and check her.
It's like the lying. They're not lying.
You're lying.
Nobody's lying about anything.
Can we give this man the Nobel Peace Prize, please? Yes, President Donald Trump has just brokered another historic peace deal. After more than 30 years of conflict, Azerbaijan and Armenia have just signed a peace deal at the White House. Let's have a look.
Hey, blonde-haired black lady, blonde-haired CNN black lady, if you're watching, did you not watch this clip right here?
President of the United States.
Yeah.
More than 35 years, Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought a bitter conflict that resulted in tremendous suffering for both nations. They suffered gravely for so many years. Many tried to find a resolution, including the European Union. The Russians worked very hard on it. Never happened.
Never happened.
Sleepy Joe Biden tried, but you know what happened there.
He probably fell asleep. That's what happened there. He probably wouldn't even know who he's in the room with. The Prime Minister of Mexico, I'm here with the Prime Minister of India. Wait, where are you from again? Yeah, that guy. Chaos ensued across the globe under his watch because they knew that the parents were gone. It's like, let's tear up the house, let's fight, have pillow fights and stuff like that. They was acting a fool.
He tried for probably 12 minutes and
12
didn't work
minutes.
out.
Look, the leaders are laughing. They're laughing because it's funny, because it's true. They know it's all true. We all knew it was true.
And many other countries tried and they were unsuccessful. But with this accord, we've finally succeeded in making peace.
Yes, Donald Trump has done it again. The man who the media and the broader left told you would start World War III is in fact brokering peace deals across the globe.
What? That's crazy. Now, I sense that liberals would rather the world be in chaos than Trump actually succeed and do good things. That's what they'd rather do, which is going to be coming up in a second when we get into what Trump is doing up in Washington. They would rather see chaos. These liberals would rather see crime, or should I say, violence across the globe and in-house than to see Trump actually bring some type of civility to all of these situations. They'd rather see that. The Democrats, ever since Trump ran, would rather see all kind of horrific things happen to the country so that Trump wouldn't be successful. That's how they're operating. So here we go. Let's continue, though.
In June, it was a peace deal between Rwanda and the Congo, ending decades of devastating conflict between the two neighbours, fighting that has cost thousands of lives.
What?
The violence and destruction comes to an end, and the entire region begins a new chapter of hope and opportunity, harmony, prosperity.
Look at that.
And peace.
Pretty significant event, wouldn't you say? But guess what the assembled media wanted to ask about? Trade negotiations with Canada. I gotta say, Donald Trump wasn't having it.
Why not? Why not Canada, by the way?
Why?
I mean,
because this is about a different subject right now. This is right now actually a much more important subject.
Yeah.
We just ended a war that was going on for 30 years where 6 million people died. So don't ask me a trade question on Canada.
Yeah. Now, where's the blonde-haired black lady? That's my question. Yeah, why are all these fools just overlooking his efforts? The fact that he's even trying to do this. I mean, think about this, guys. All of the stuff that's going on around the world or in our country. And he still makes it a part of his priority to look across the globe and say, what conflicts are taking place and how can we possibly bring some of those conflicts to rest? Who does that? What president is going to do this? He could easily say, you know what? I'm so America first that I'm going to ignore all the death and carnage that's going on in other countries. He comes in with the approach, if I can do something, I will. People are probably fighting because they never had anybody to come in and say, hey, why don't y'all stop fighting? Here's a better solution. What if, if it was up to Joe and all of them, they wouldn't even bother. They wouldn't even attempt. They would be looking at ways to expand their power, their control, and globalism. Trump's not even doing this and saying, now I want to send our troops over there in conflict. He's like, boom, peace, and we're going back. Peace, we're going back to the United States. Matter of fact, we're not even coming over there. Y'all come over here, and we'll go ahead, broker peace, and then you go back home and live your lives. But, the left don't like it. They sweeping down this guy's evil, and yet he's making all these efforts to bring peace across the globe.
And a month earlier than that, Donald Trump negotiated another peace deal between...
And another thing. Since he's supposed to be so racist, there it is. Why would he want to broker peace between two African nations? Remember, he don't like people of color. He don't like brown and black people and stuff like that. You would think that if he was the white supremacist, white nationalist that he is, he would have sat back and said, let these brothers kill themselves. Like the Democrats do. Like the Democrats do in black-ran neighborhoods. That's what they do. Let these black folks continue to shoot each other, kill each other, do all that stuff. We ain't got nothing to do with it, and we won't report that. We won't report that. We're going to let those black folks be sorry. That's what we're going to do. Let's continue.
Two nuclear powers, India and Pakistan, and that led to the government of Pakistan nominating Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
What?
In a statement, they said President Trump demonstrated great strategic foresight and stellar statesmanship through robust diplomatic engagement with both Islamabad and New Delhi, which de-escalated a rapidly deteriorating situation.
Now look at that. you got leaders from other countries nominating Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. Now, where's all of the Democrats and stuff like they can't recognize that stuff? They didn't even want to be a part of that. I bet you not one Democrat want to show up for the signing of that. I bet you not one of the Democrats mention these things, celebrates these things, none of that stuff. Yeah. So other folks in other countries, as Trump is doing these things, and they pop up out of nowhere. These peace treaties, we didn't even know he was working on half of them. You're sitting there watching the news, and all of a sudden, today Trump brought these two countries in to sign a peace treaty. You're like, what? Didn't even know he's working on that stuff. So let's continue.
Pakistan said this intervention stands alone as a testament to his role as a genuine peacemaker.
Wow.
And only last month, Trump brokered a peace deal between Thailand and Cambodia.
Man, the hits just keep on coming. Now, I didn't even know that Cambodia and Thailand was even scrapping. This is crazy. Look at all of this mess that Trump is like juggling. He got a couple chainsaws in there, got a couple torches sitting there, a couple Ginsu knives, some machetes, and he's juggling it all. Yep, not dropping the ball. But yet the black blonde lady, she's like, I don't agree with that. That's why Scott had to call her a liar.
Also saw the Cambodian Prime Minister nominate President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Another nomination?
He lauded his extraordinary statesmanship and said this timely intervention, which averted a potentially devastating conflict, was vital in preventing a great loss of lives and paved the way towards the restoration of peace.
Now, what is bizarre about this is these are countries of color. There it is. So obviously, the white supremacists, white nationalists who hates people of color would want to see all of these people just wipe each other out. I mean, that would be a wonderful plan if he was a real white supremacist and stuff like that. I'm quite sure Hitler wouldn't have broke up all these people from fighting because he's probably like, yeah, let them kill each other so we can only have people with blonde hair and blue eyes. The Third Reich. He would have loved that to happen. But real leaders will look out and say, if I can help, I will. And it has nothing to do with this is a nation filled with folks of color and all of that stuff. This is lives that we're talking about. And most likely these conflicts are resolvable if you got somebody with the will to make an effort to do it. So now another foreign leader nominates Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. We're all of our Americans that's supposed to be doing that. Man, I'm telling you, these political dividers are just, it's unreal when it comes down to making folks compromise their common sense, their morality, all of these things. People just set it aside. And it's really being projected into our society by just greedy, angry Democrat politicians and the fake news. They have people who would, in normal times of sanity, would say, that's good. We got a president who is actually making efforts to bring peace and not war to these other countries. And trying to deal with the crime in our own country, which is a major problem, especially in Democrat-ran cities and stuff.
Can you see a theme emerging here? Trump is the peacemaker. He is no warmonger. He is no neocon. He is not interested in the US engaging in endless wars around the world. But he's also not a reckless isolationist, as some claim. He is using the power of his office to negotiate historic peace deals, just as he negotiated the Abraham Accords during his first term. Which brings me to this latest peace deal between Azerbaijan and Armenia.
Now, notice she has a sober view of this, an accurate view of what Trump is doing. Trump is very balanced when it comes to global issues. Yeah, he sets it up to where people will most likely say, let's get together, listen to what he has to say, because we've watched him long enough to know that he's not up to trying to subvert our country, come in, push ideology like transgender rights. We'll sign a peace treaty with you guys if you guys will have DEI implemented there, and if you can go ahead and do research about the efforts of transgenderism in Pakistan and stuff like that. Yeah, he don't operate like that. He's like, look, man, let your countries keep their culture. Let your countries figure out how to prosper, make your economy better, and stop the squabbling. And you don't have to worry about us coming in and trying to occupy your country, trying to overthrow your leadership, things like that. So now, if I'm two countries and I see Trump trying to negotiate a peace deal, What I'm not worried about is them sending in, our secret ops and our CIA and all that stuff to subvert me and probably take me out somewhere. I'm going, you know what? This guy seems very honest and sincere about bringing peace and not globalism. Peace and then bounce. Let me negotiate peace between you two and then let you guys go and run your country. You don't got to worry about us sniffing around and saying, how can we get in over there? How can we get rid of this guy and set up our own guy? So that's what makes Trump so much different than many of our past presidents that even tried to negotiate peace. It's always at what cost? Back then, if I'm a leader in another country and the U.S. might have been saying, let's get together and talk about peace, I'm going, and what else? See, so let's continue though.
Yeah, let's hear from the two leaders here that have been in conflict since the 1980s, these countries.
The 80s?
So really, it's a day which will be remembered by the people of Azerbaijan with a feeling of pride and gratitude to President Trump for his attitude to Azerbaijan, for his vision, for not only for our region. We were exchanging views today, and I said that within several months he managed to put an end to conflicts in Asia, in Africa, and now in Southern Caucasus. What we could not achieve for more than 30 years.
Couldn't achieve it for more than 30 years. But then pops up Trump, the white supremacist, white nationalist, warmonger, and all of that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this goes to show you how evil our fake behind news is and our Democrat Party. And you know that all of the dummies out there, they're not watching this stuff. CNN and all of them aren't covering this stuff. They're not talking about this stuff in a good way. In fact, that's why the black lady with the blonde hair had to try to undermine what Scott was saying. Yeah, because see, this stuff goes directly against the narrative that Trump hates people of color. Trump is a warmonger. Trump is a bad negotiator. Trump's losing his mind. He's not wrapped too tight. All of these things, they go against that. And if folks around the country who might just suffer from stage 1 or 2 TDS gets wind of this, they might say, maybe Trump's not too bad. Yeah, under creepy, sleepy, I was concerned that a war might break out at any given second. Any given second. But right now, I feel pretty comfortable with the efforts that this administration is making to bring peace and end to all of these stupid things.
This breakthrough would be simply not have been possible without President Trump's personal engagement and his resolute commitment to peace in our region.
Peace.
There you go. Like I said at the start, give President Trump the Nobel Peace Prize already, please.
Thank you. Give that man the prize. Give it to him, man. Give it to him. Give him that sweet, that funky. What? Give it to him. 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 That sweet, funky. Oh. So let's move on now because he's trying to bring peace to the streets.
Yes, thank you.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. Yes. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is?
Yeah.
And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that...
You know the TDS is starting to act up and all the liberals as they watch this announcement. Because see what ended up happening, what made this go ahead and escalate was when Big Balls got beat up. Now, Big Balls is living up to his nickname, man. This man was out there trying to stop somebody from getting robbed, and then he got jumped. It took like 11 or 12 of them to beat Big Balls up. Just the fact that that is a very scrawny, pure, 100% white man right there. I mean, the fact that he was even willing to take a stance and stand up, I'm like, Big Balls don't look like he could bust a grape, beat his way out of a paper bag, but it's all about the heart. It's the heart. So Big Balls had the heart to go in there and he got beat up. Probably would have gotten stomped to death if some officers didn't, witness it and stop it. Probably got stomped to death. Because see, when these folks go into that frenzy and start jumping people, which is a vicious thing to watch. I witnessed many of these type of frenzies. It's like sharks in the water, you know, or should I say demons too? Because see, once one demon of violence jump in there, it starts to jumping on other people. And they stomp folks really bad. I saw a guy get beat one time where I was like, I don't even know if that guy lived or not. I mean, I couldn't stick around to watch it, but I'm watching like 20-something people just take turns stomping him, slamming him on his head on the concrete. And I'm watching this going, Kev, don't get involved in this. I was a young man at the time, probably about 22, 23. And I'm going, now I could scrap, but it's about 20-something folks beating this guy. And it looks like they're going to kill him. Okay, going to kill him. To this day, no idea what happened to him. And the sorry police came after they did that. And he was laying under some bushes, bleeding, face all swollen up. And the dumb cop, all he did was say, hey, man, you okay? And the guy was like, yeah. And I'm thinking, this guy could have slipped into a coma any second. Yeah, the guy just whispered like, yeah. And okay, man, we're going to head on out, man. That was it. I'm going, no ambulance, no nothing. Whatever happened to this man? So these things can get out of control. And it might seem cute and fun to the folks who's doing it at the time, until somebody gets killed and then they're all going, well, we didn't mean to do that. So these type of activities must be stopped. That violence wouldn't have ever occurred if these young adults wouldn't be so, motivated to steal stuff out there in Washington, D.C. And somebody who got the nerve to intervene or interrupt their thievery can become a victim of this, like Big Boss.
That will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety.
Yeah, good stuff.
In Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
Good.
And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get... you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed.
Nobody wants that.
And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something.
Yeah. Now I'm going to say something that probably might be controversial, but it's true. There are two types of large violent groups taking place in our country. You got the political violence, which is mostly white, young, Antifian type folks who, exercise this violence on behalf of the radical left and the Democrat Party. They do their bidding, and they're very violent. Then you got just violence for just whatever gain, personal gain. This is, this is committed primarily by young black youths. You don't usually see. In fact, I've never seen a large group of white kids stomping somebody or a large group of white kids rushing into stores and ripping everything off the shelves and bouncing. Now, these large groups of black kids who are committing a lot of this violence are in Democrat cities. This type of violence, when it comes to these large mobs, stealing stuff, cars, breaking in things, it didn't start popping off until Democrats start changing and relaxing a lot of their laws when it comes down to holding these young black men accountable. By doing that, what you're doing is you're setting a lot of them up for failure. If you spare the rod, you'll spoil the child. So now Democrats are responsible for violence increasing on two fronts: political violence and just regular violence in the inner cities. But when you go in to deal with the violence in these inner cities, unfortunately, since it's predominantly committed by black folks, these people will yell, only reason you're doing this is because these folks are black. And I'm saying, okay, so that's your excuse. No, we wouldn't have to do that if you guys wouldn't have went on the George Floyd, reforming of our society that says, okay, don't hold a lot of these young black folks accountable for their actions. And by not doing that, what do you end up doing? Letting them be sorry. We got a lot of white liberals who are mad at Trump for this. And you got a lot of course, black liberals who are mad that this is happening as well. But black folks with common sense are saying, I'm cool. Let him come in and do it. Me as a law-abiding black man, I don't get scared when I see police officers patrolling, walking around the street. In fact, I feel a little bit better. When I'm walking around and I'm at some type of outing or outdoor function, whether I'm worried about somebody having a violent interaction with somebody else and, gunfire takes off, or even some terroristic act taking off, I feel a lot better when the police are there. And I'm saying, at least I got a front line of defense that will confront whatever thing takes place. So now I can relax and eat a snow cone. Now I can go ahead and tone down just a little bit my hypersensitive, view of society. Because when I go out, I'm like the Terminator. I'm looking around at everybody and judging, going, all right, that guy's a potential threat. Where's the exits? If things break out, what would be my strategy? How would I deal with this? And stuff like that. But when I see police presence, I'm going, okay, I can relax here. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's how law-abiding citizens should view this. But when you try to switch the motive of why Trump is doing this and aim it at, well, he's doing this because he's targeting black folks, that right there is not doing black folks a service. It's doing them a disservice. And we're going to get into some of those people who are responsible for that in a second.
And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about.
Now look at CNN. CNN's premiering this, and what they're doing, they're showing stuff counter to what Trump is saying. Homicides down 12%. Sex abuse down 49%. Assault with dangerous weapons down 20%. So they think that they are, like they always do, gaslighting their audience. Between them and the deep state, which, of course, under Biden, the deep state was inflating numbers when it comes down to right-wing violence. The right-wing violence is up, and I'm going, it is? You know what? The greatest threat to the homeland is white supremacists. And where are all these white supremacists at? Where are they meeting? That's my question. So they fix these numbers to control and manipulate society and for political reasons. So now here you have it. They're trying to say, well, as Trump is talking, we're going to be fact-checking him real time with fake numbers.
As being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings.
Wow, look at that, 5 years.
Atkins has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you can pay me to drive my man truck to a big city. If I had to go to a big city, if somebody called and booked me, we want you to come to New York and speak, or we want you to come to Washington, D.C. and speak, or California and speak, I'd be like, all right, you got to fly me because I'm not driving. I'm not, as much as I hate flying, but I'm not going to drive my vehicles, at least, up to any of these cities. And whether they sanctuary cities, whether they are cities that are, they got strict gun laws, I'll just take my chances with my piece in the car. Even if I do got a rented car that doesn't, just straight protect me from one of these stupid kids putting a bullet in me. I'm telling you, I'll be like, hey, man, I'm riding around with my piece right in my lap. Like, Now, I don't have to worry about that around here. I mean, we don't have a high carjacking epidemic in Ohio. These things are isolated towards certain cities, and they're not able to stop and say, what is it that all of these cities where all of these things are taking place have in common? Nobody's able to see that. Relaxed laws, woke politicians who don't hold them accountable, and ran by Democrat politicians. That's what they have in common.
Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. When you say take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, the red is a place called Washington, D.C.
Washington!
Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad.
Holy moly.
Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru. all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that?
Probably. Apparently. See, now, honestly, if you're real honest, the folks who would be screaming the loudest about this is racism, this is a takeover, overreach of power for Trump and stuff, they usually will go back home to nice neighborhoods so they don't have to worry about this stuff. Yeah, the folks in the media, they don't worry about the young black kids who have to deal with this and stuff like that. And this violence is overflowing. DC is so infested that these young, unfortunately, black children that are committing a lot of these crimes, they done went ahead and said, let's start doing it in the inner city. Let's start going into districts that most of the time are populated with business folks, working folks, a lot of, people walking up and down the street for their coffee breaks. Let's do that. When I was growing up in Youngstown, there were certain areas that all of the crime took place. They didn't go up to Boardman, out to Austin Town. They didn't go out to Liberty and things like that. And they still don't, because they understand the police out there will put the smackdown on them. In fact, the police in Youngstown would often just say, all right, sounds like people in the Kimmel Brooks. My first 5 years of growing up was there. It was bad news. Yeah, they just go, let those dudes in there shoot and kill each other. Rapid calls. Beep. Black people, hey, they shooting again. All right, we on our way. Somebody getting beat up again. In those neighborhoods, guess who the victims were? Not white kids, not, white folks. It was all black folks. Now, if we'd have had a heavy police presence in the Kimmel Brooks, that right there would have kept a lot of innocent black folks safe from the violence committed by, unfortunately, other black folks. So these folks now have said, man, since nobody's going to hold us accountable, we can actually profit better, because there's so much only we're going to get if we just stick with the hood. But when we go into certain areas, they drive nice fancy cars. And if we steal some of these nice fancy cars in broad daylight sometimes, nothing will happen to us. We'll be back, if they even come after us.
I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd say, look at the kind of numbers we have. Yeah. DC, 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that.
Not as bad as that.
Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse.
Getting worse.
Not getting better, it's getting worse.
Now, Trump could come out there with all of the presentations and pieces and stuff that and they'll still disagree with him. He could show you a montage of the bodies laid out, just like over when the South African, prime minister came over here and they showed the video and all of that stuff. The fake news tried to flip that. But those weren't actual people in those graves. No, the flags represented all of the people who were killed. That's what Trump's lying about the numbers. So all of this stuff that he's showing you is just fake. That's what it is. That's what y'all would rather go ahead and work hard to disprove that this violence is on the up than to just say, wow, I go ahead and trust that. I mean, this right here shows that's the evidence. But it's hard to rely on the evidence when you got fake Democrats who know that their cities are ran like shite, who know their policies have contributed to all of this high crime and violence taking place. They know it. And to go ahead and try to make it seem like, no, Democrats aren't soft on crime. No, Democrats aren't lawless in allowing their folks to act up. Yeah, what they do is they pad the numbers and they send the media out there to try to protect them from looking like they truly are, which is horrible.
Janine, would you say a few words, please?
A few moments later.
And I want to bring in the one and only Daniel Dale. Daniel.
Here we go.
There was a lot of deception from the president there. So here's a reality check.
Y'all hear that?
There was a lot of deceptions from the president, though. So here's the reality check. The reality check is I got no bass in my voice. I got no bass in my voice. I got no bass. How low can you go? That guy right there needs a reality check about how to get that helium out of his throat and put some bass down there.
There is no doubt that DC has for decades been a high crime city. It is among the U.S. cities with the highest homicide rates. though there are a bunch of other big cities that are worse. And DC did indeed have a big crime spike in 2023, which is the year the president kept citing. But contrary to what the president said today, even in 2023, DC did not have an all-time high in murder. It was way worse during the crack crisis of the 80s and early 90s. And more presently, Dana, the president was just flat wrong when he said it's getting worse now, not getting better. Crime in DC, including murder, has fallen sharply since that 2023 spike. It fell in 2024. It's fallen further in 2025.
Not really.
Well, y'all, here we go.
A DC police commander is under investigation for allegedly making changes to crime statistics in his district. Tonight, the police department confirms Michael Pulliam was placed on paid administrative leave in mid-May, a move that came just a week after Pulliam filed an equal opportunity complaint against an assistant chief. And the police union accused the department of deliberately falsifying crime data.
It looks like the plot thickens. Now, you think that guy with no bass in his voice is taking that into consideration? That's my question. You think all these folks who you're going to be witnessing whining and complaining about Trump's taking over and he's just making stuff up just so he can go in and rule over all these black people and threaten and intimidate them and stuff like that. That's his motive. That's his motive. So just like we established that Trump made efforts to protect folks in other countries, people of color, who are a lot of the victims and stuff like that. Same thing with our cities. When he sends in folks to bring back law and order, he's doing that to protect citizens. That is the job of the government. But apparently, this guy who's a police officer was either instructed, commissioner or whatever he is, instructed to pad the numbers, or he's doing it, I guess, to make it look good. Maybe he gets a bonus check or something if crime goes down. So let's continue watching this.
Discourse Paul Wagner has a story.
Well, hi there. The DC Police Union is putting its allegations on the record tonight, claiming police supervisors in the department are manipulating crime data. Manipulating crime data to make it appear violent crime has fallen considerably when compared to last year. As of today, according to the DC Police website, crime is down 25%, a decrease the chairman of the police union calls preposterous.
Preposterous. Yeah, just like inflation is, all the transitory and just like the border crossings were down and stuff like that. All of these fake numbers the Democrats have to use because their policies suck. And because they govern so recklessly and so horrible, they have to lie and make up and manipulate stuff to make it seem like we're good folks that can govern. No, they govern horribly in every category. Economically, socially, everything about the party. And whatever they put their hands on, it turns to shite, not gold. Now, not like the Don, okay, who has the Trump effect. Whatever they touch, it turns to 100% pure shite with flies on it. Let's continue.
Imagine that.
Yeah, reality.
In early May, 5 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation.
Hey, there's the DEI hire, y'all. The police chief right there over DC Metro. The one who didn't know what chain of command meant. I thought, so ma'am, what? Who has the chain? What is the chain of command? Huh? What's that? And Mayor Bowser had to step in. I feel this one. Oh, God, girl, you making me look bad. You know I hired you because you black. Now, look, go ahead and sit down somewhere. I'll take care of this. Didn't even know what the chain of command meant. No wonder. It's a mess.
Tell News 4, Pulliam was placed on administrative leave with pay and told he was under investigation for questionable changes to crime data.
When our members respond to the scene of a felony offense where there is a victim reporting that a felony occurred, inevitably there will be a lieutenant or a captain that will show up on that scene and direct those members to take a report for a lesser offense.
Now, y'all see how these people of power try to craft a world reality that is not true to manipulate people and to get their preferred outcome. Think about COVID. During that time, you saw all these numbers going up, just skyrocketed. And they were using that to justify serious crackdowns and lockdowns. Look at the murder, the death toll. Look at the death toll. Look at the death. And then you find out that they gave incentive to hospitals and stuff like that to categorize all of these deaths as related to COVID. We found out that these were motorcycle accidents. Guy fell off a ladder, broke his neck from COVID. All of these things that they were saying, I'm going, y'all are constantly manipulating numbers. You know, y'all are giving incentives to folks to lie about this stuff because you govern with the effort and desire to control people. And your policies suck so bad, you got to pad numbers. You got to come up with false realities, fake realities to control people. They are horrible. And then when you recognize it, then of course they want to censor you and call you whatever.
So instead of taking a report for a shooting or a stabbing or a carjacking, they will order that officer to take a report for a theft or an injured person to the hospital.
There it is. Injured person. Here I am bleeding out from 2 or 3 shots to the gut. What's the case? What's the situation? Yeah, we got an injured person. He fell on 3 bullets. Fell right there on his stomach on 3 bullets. Did he fall on the bullets or did somebody put the bullets in him? He fell on the bullets, okay? He's just an injured person. That's what that is. Now, do you know how foul this is? But all of these fake news networks, they're not going to report that because they want Trump to look like he's a dictator and he's going in just to show everybody, here comes King Trump.
Or a felony assault, which is not the same type of classification.
Think about that.
I am.
Pemberton says the union has been gathering evidence for some time now by looking at reports and talking with officers all over the city.
What we've heard through our members and through members of management that we're willing to talk with the union is that this is a directive from the command staff. Is that
bam, a directive from the command staff.
They want to make sure that these classifications of these reports are adjusted over time to make sure that the overall crime stats stay down.
Yeah, so that people like the bass in the voice can come out there and say Trump's lying about this. People like Bowser and the rest of all of these fake networks can say when crime, or the Democrats, whenever the Republicans come out and say crime is running rampant in your cities, yeah, we want to be able to come out and say that's not true because crime is going down statistically because we're padding the numbers and we're manipulating and stuff like that. They already know that their cities are trash. They already know that the crime rate is high. And that's why they put people in place and they encourage people to downplay that. Same thing with the illegal immigrant crisis or the illegal immigrant criminals. They don't classify them as, illegal immigrants when they commit crimes. It's just a Maryland man committed a crime. Today in Atlanta, an Atlanta man, wait, that ain't no normal, regular Atlanta man. That is an illegal immigrant man who committed it, but you don't want to put that in there because then it'll look like, look at all of these illegal immigrants and the chaos that they're bringing. But because the Democrats are responsible for that chaos, they don't want you to know that chaos directly, relates to their bad choices and policies. Let's continue.
Today, the department's website says violent crime is down 25% when compared to the same time last year, and overall crime is down 8%.
That's preposterous.
That's preposterous because folks that live in reality, that's walking around D.C., I bet you they don't feel like it when the young boys come up to them and say, give me that nice fancy car you got and stuff like that. What about the man of color who was an Uber driver and 2 girls, they went ahead and jacked him and then they drove off and drug him down the street to his death. What about that? You think he felt like crime was going down? All of that mess that's going on up there, crime is down. So the word on the street is it isn't. That's why I'm not ever going up there until y'all get this mess together. But right now, since Trump sent in the boys, I might feel a little safer walking around the city. There you go.
There's absolutely no way crime could be down 28%. Last year, they suggested that it went down 34%.
Crime in D.C., including murder, has fallen sharply since that 2023 spike. It fell in 2024. It's fallen further in 2025.
Liar! The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Do you think that is an
Wait a minute. Here we go.
appropriate use of those federal resources?
Appropriate use of those federal resources. I mean, that's the whole job of the federal government is to make sure our citizens are safe and protected.
Actually, I think it's a disgrace that our nation's capital is crime-ridden. I think it's a disgrace that tourists and visitors come to Washington, D.C. and they don't feel safe. I think it's a disgrace that, roving bands of teenagers are riding, hundreds of dirt bikes around Washington, D.C., shooting guns, shooting off fireworks, and you have these roving bands.
They down there like the Wild Wild West, the Wild Wild West, the Wild. They up in that bad boy like
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. They're having a great time. Welcome to the jungle.
Of carjackers. It's a disgrace. This is our national capital. You shouldn't have to feel that way, whether you live there or whether you're visiting on the streets of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
It's a unique place because it's a federal district. It's not in a state. And I think the president, has rightly decided that something has to be done. It has a very high homicide rate when you compare it to other world capitals. And so I'm anxious to see how far he wants to take this. But frankly, I think for the people who live there and the people who visit there, they're going to welcome extra police presence on the street. That carjacking that happened to the White House staffer the other night, there were a couple of cops sitting there. Had they not been sitting there and witnessed that, I don't know what would have happened to that poor kid. He got
big balls. Now, see, here's the thing. Yes, Trump has to step in and do something. You know why? Because they're not. Do you think that these darn Democrats are going to self-correct when it comes down to the crime that they've allowed to ensue? All the demonizing of the police, the handcuffing of the police and shackling them because of all of their new liberal, relaxed policies concerning crime. And, of course, threatening these police that if you lay your hand on one of these precious scholars who are carjacking and shooting and jumping people, yeah, you might mess around and find yourself like, Chauvin. Yeah, there you go, Derek Chauvin. You might end up like that. Might end up like that guy. So, yeah, police are going to, risk their lives, their whole career, going out there trying to chase down all of these young adults who will be back out on the streets in a few minutes? Absolutely not. So Trump has to do something because guess what? Crime by nature does not self-correct. In fact, unchecked crime will only grow. When you start seeing that other folks are committing all of these crimes and you're growing up in an environment that breeds stinking thinking, that you are subjected to a lot of people who commit these crimes and then they appear to be prospering. They're not being made an example out of. You know what kept me out the penitentiary growing up? Was watching the older guys who I admired for a second do something stupid and go to jail for a long time. That made me look at them and say, was it really worth it? I mean, I know and stuff, I used to look at that dude as cool because he had a nice pimp walk and he talked with a feathered down voice. What's up, young boy? Come here, man. Give me some. You good, baby? You know what I'm saying? Now, all of a sudden, I'm like, what? Victor's in prison? For how many years? 20. That right there made me go, that's what not to do. But if I saw Victor getting away with it, Victor got caught, put him in there for about 36 hours, let him out, smacked his hand and said, now, Victor, don't do it again. Gotcha. That might have convinced me that maybe a life of crime ain't that bad in an SO-ran Democrat city. Let's continue. I hate to be on these rants, so I ain't going to even be able to finish this tonight. Let's continue.
Beat up by 10 people, a 10-person gang. And so I think the more patrols you have, whether it's park police or whoever, the safer people will feel going around our nation's capital.
Yeah.
They exist in a state of lawlessness. I mean, we have blue cities all over this country and blue states that have sanctuary laws where they have encouraged illegal immigration. I mean, that's the problem in California is that illegal immigration has been welcomed and coddled. And then when you go in and try to enforce federal law, there was, all sorts of unrest and violence and mayhem on the streets.
Yep. So Democrat cities have doubled for the trouble that they've asked for. They're sitting back saying, you know what? Let's go ahead and have a whole large group of illegal immigrants here, including the criminal and violent ones as well. Okay. And then let's have a sanctuary city. Now we got two elements of crime now that is taking place. You got illegal immigrants taking place that's doing whatever they're doing. You got the young black scholars that are violent. And then sometimes when needed, when somebody tries to come in and clean any of that up, then you're seeing in your third group, the dang on Antifians and all of the radical ones you use for political violence. You see how that works? All of these ingredients and stuff that the Democrats put together, big fat combo and gumbo of violence. You got the inner city who say they're distracted. They're focusing on the precious illegal immigrants and stopping ICE. So while they're doing all of that, we'll be doing all of this. Out there in California, when Trump went out there with ICE and they were out there throwing stuff at ICE and all of that violence was taking place, what do you think was taking place across the city when all the cops were tied up over there? What do you think was taking place? You know what was taking place? The young black scholars were going ahead and breaking into stores and looting and taking all of the stuff and running off because the Democrats were so focused on whatever was going on over here with the precious illegal immigrants The young black scholars are like, I ain't got to worry about this. They're more focused on that. That is how chaotic these cities are ran by these Democrat politicians. Unbelievable.
And so that was a situation brought about by the local officials there trying to resist, I think, the enforcement of federal immigration law. In Washington, D.C., everybody who lives there and everybody who visits there on a regular basis knows it's not safe.
Not safe. And you know what else is a misappropriation of resources? When they opened up our border and they had all of our border control patrol agents babysitting all the illegal immigrants, and when they were coming in, they were going ahead and processing them. You know what that did? Just like was taking place in these cities. When they were focused on trying to protect those illegal immigrants from getting shipped back out of here, and the violence took place out there in LA with all of the young black scholars. Same thing with the cartel. Yeah, while they had our border patrol babysitting and processing all of these people, the cartel was having a great time bringing all of that fentanyl across the border. These are the choices of Democrats that have consequences, cause and effect. Yeah, you take your resources to protect whatever crooked investment you guys have, indulged in. And yet what that ends up doing is weakening society in another area. Unreal, these Democrats. Thank you, Scott, for being honest.
It is not safe. And there's even discussion in the ranks of the police department there. I think one guy's been put on suspension because they've been downplaying the crime statistics there to try to give people a false sense of security. So I don't think this is political. I think it's about safety. And in the case of California and other blue states, I think it's about the enforcement of federal immigration laws that are on the books. And you have Democrats in those places trying to resist that. I do not understand.
What? And the way they react to Trump when he's doing practical common sense things, what they end up doing, they're swearing up and down that it's all political. It becomes very political and positively political when they react to it that way. And folks are looking at this going, now, wait a minute. Y'all having a fit over Trump wanting to bring down crime in a city and reduce homelessness? That's your reaction? You're only helping him politically. He picks issues that should be common sense. But he goes, I'm politically going to benefit off of this because I know that the Democrats and the left is going to go all in on Trump's doing this and doing that, when common sense regular people are going to also say, I don't see what the problem is. I'd rather see the police walking around than somebody taking me and carjacking me out of my own car. I'd rather see that. So now, yes, it benefits him politically, but it's indirectly. If they would have all got on board and said, yeah, Trump, whatever you can do to straighten this out, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Glad we got a president who believes in law and order and is willing to do something to protect the citizens. But nope, not them. Not them. They pick the stupid side of the choice. They say, okay, Trump's doing something good. And the inner city folks are going, I'm an inner city law-abiding citizen. And I'm scared for my own life. Thank you, Trump, but not the Democrats. They would rather allow these folks to live a life of fear when it comes down to the crime in their cities.
Why is this issue?
Oh, here we go.
And again, you're going to get into the fact check of what is wrong about his figures or not. But why is this the top of the President of the United States agenda today?
Because people are dying. That shouldn't be at the top. People are living in fear. Crime right there is out of control. But that shouldn't be a priority, just like the Democrats govern. The real priorities, they don't even focus on. The real issues, they're like, nah. Oh, wait, you're telling me a hurricane took place and folks are drowning? We'll get to them whenever. You're telling me East Palestine, the folks have been there. We'll get down there maybe a year or two later. That's the way they govern. So when you see a problem, you deal with it. Democrats, they govern like folks in the union. And I'm not saying all the union is all bad, but I worked in a union one time. Those guys were so content. A piece of paper fell one time. I went to pick it up. That guy was like, don't you pick that paper up. I was like, it's just a piece of paper. Nah, man, that ain't our job. That ain't our job. I said, y'all have gotten so content and lazy. You can see a problem and just be like, that ain't my job to handle it. And I'm going, it's a simple problem. I just can't ignore it. I just going to put it in the trash. No, don't do it. And I'm going, good grief. That's your attitude towards it. You see all of this stuff taking place, and yet your response is, why is he making this a priority? Because it is a priority, you idiot. And if if this works out, maybe this would be a nice roadmap to the rest of y'all cities who have ran into the ground.
And I think that's an important question for us to think about as we think about everything that's on his plate. Why is taking over law enforcement in the District of Columbia? Now, he made the argument as to why, and that it's a capital city, and that the way he sees it is that it is crime-ridden and needs...
That's not the way he sees it. Now, this guy's asking a question that he got the answer to. Trump already told him why. And then he just repeats it. Well, the way he said he sees it is that no, it's not the way he sees it. It's the way everybody should see it. But you're trying to create a false reality and tell everybody it's not what you see. Just like y'all do when it comes down to the other violent acts that take place that you guys are responsible for promoting, encouraging, or at least covering it up. I want to be sure to let you know this is mostly peaceful protest. And I'm going, y'all are masters of deception. In your face deception. Crime taking place, folks getting carjacked, murders going up, and y'all going, we don't understand why Trump is and I'm going, really? Just like the mostly peaceful protest narrative.
To be changed. But still, why is the President of the United States putting that front and center? So that's a question I sort of try to think about as we put this into perspective. But then, Dana, as you were noting, yes, this is a dramatic moment, but it also feels to me like dipping into a well that President Trump has gone to time and time again in the first term and this term. The tactics here may be more amped up and dramatic, but the going after this city or other cities is sort of crime-ridden. This was the heart of many of the campaigns and political agenda that Trump puts before voters. And so to me, I see him dipping back into a well of something he feels is a strong suit and where he thinks he has stronger footing, the way he does with immigration.
Now, the way these people try to make their lives make sense, it's fascinating to watch them twist and contort themselves to try to come up with some alternative motive of why Trump is doing this. And it's the same thing when it comes down to all of their crazy social agendas that they have out there. And then they blame us for picking fights and culture wars. We react to what's reality and what is going on. They'll sit back and be like, you guys are using this for red meat to your base when it comes down to trying to stop young men from participating in women's sports. This right here is just a way to go ahead and demonize and attack these young men from being in men's. And I'm going, no, these are issues that when they pop up on our radar, we go, what the heck is going on? We got to do something now. We got to do something. Yeah. And so the Democrats provide all of these reasons that emergencies pop up and we got to go, now I got to deal with that. But when you deal with it, it's why you're dealing with it. I thought right here, y'all, this is political. He's out throwing red meat to his base. When all we're saying is, y'all are the ones that aren't governing correct. These attacks and stuff, y'all ain't doing nothing about them. It just came to my attention now. I wasn't out there looking for this. Then all of a sudden it makes national news. Big Balls have been attacked. What the? Big Balls was just chilling in here with me a couple weeks ago. Now the man bloody, possibly could have been killed. So these things pop up. And then when they pop up, you deal with them. And this guy's like, I thought this is something that, and they try to make it seem like these aren't real issues. It's just Trump just randomly looking for stuff to jump involved and get involved with so he can throw red meat to his face. No, the issues that he addressed are issues that we also see. These aren't things that I go, okay, I guess that's a problem. But no, we're going, it's a problem. I see it too. If Trump would have never dealt with it, I would have said the same thing. If Trump would have never addressed it, I'd have gone, that's a problem.
Border security, which to me also then begs the question, well, what is he a little nervous about over here if he needs to dip into this well right now on this topic?
Yeah. Watch them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any such of this, and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face. And then
here we go. Here we go. They are going to wait until what Trump says, when Trump says something, and watch how they twist this.
They're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
Whatever the hell they want. As if police have been not doing anything before this, Eddie. What do you make of it?
Well, it appears that they haven't because they've been shackled. Because they've been told, go easy, easy. Here's the new standard. Here's the new laws. Here's the new procedures. Here's the new categorizing of these crimes and stuff like that. And you could tell in her voice, whatever the hell they want. Basically now what that's going to mean in her head is that, he just gave them a license to go out and just start shooting folks randomly. That's what it is. Now we all know when Trump says things like that, he's talking about whatever the hell they want to do and within the confines of the law and their procedures. Yeah, not being able to do it is, hey, go easy on these kids. That they're juveniles. Don't arrest these people. Don't write this category down for crime and all. That right there hinders it. So now they bring in one of the master race baiters. And what disgusts me about these folks is these are the type of black folks who say they are for black folks, but what they're doing is allowing black folks to be sorry. That's what they're doing. So let's listen to this guy.
Of that, whatever the hell they want.
Chris, to be honest with you, I'm trying to hold my temper.
Oh, God.
I think there's an ongoing argument that he's having in his head with Black Lives Matter. There's an ongoing argument that he's having with the questions around criminal justice reform and police reform. It's interesting that he really doesn't really care about what's actually happening in D.C.
Now, do you hear this, fool? See, now, he's more in love with his race-baiting grift and, of course, the Democrat Party than he is with the safety of folks in the inner city. He swears up and down he just loves black people, and he's so pro-black, and he's always addressing these black issues. And I'm saying, you know what you're doing? By making excuses for this and by trying to pretend that the only reason he's doing this because he got a problem with black folks, black organizations, black this, black that, is you are allowing black folks to be sorry. And instead of recognizing that, you know what? It's a major problem. And it's an embarrassment as a black person when I look on TV and I start seeing all of the folks that's committing these particular types of crimes, and they all end up being like me. But instead of me saying, what's wrong with you young black folks, you parents in the black neighborhoods, get your kids together. Hey, somebody need to go ahead and separate the young black folks that can be salvaged versus the ones right now that they, look, might have to go ahead and send those back to the manufacturer, because guess what's going to happen? They're going to taint all the ones that can be salvaged by being in proximity, living in the same hood sometimes. All of these young black folks that aren't safe because of the ones that's knuckleheads could receive what? Acts of violence against them because of whatever, random gunshots, and they're victims of this crime. So what you need to do is focus on a major issue. Okay, yes, a lot of these are young black folks that's committing crimes. We have to deal with them in a way that we could maybe rehabilitate them through severe punishments. But by doing that, you also save the ones, you know, that aren't engaged in all of that stuff. If you was really about it, you would recognize who's committing this, you know, because like I said, I don't see when they show all of the folks who's getting carjacked and stuff, white kids doing it. But yet this person's supposed to be so pro-black and Trump's doing it because he wants to target black kids. No, black kids in these black neighborhoods are putting targets on their own back, along with the Democrat Party that excuses it by letting them be sorry. There it is. Let them go ahead, commit the crimes, and instead of holding them accountable, downplay it, make excuses for their choices and things like that, and then blame Trump when he comes in and says, we got to do something about this. When I was a principal, I would make sure that I got rid of any bad apple as harsh as it could be, because if I leave those bad apples in the bushel, it will rotten the rest of the apples. Never forget, guy came in to my office, and I think that he had a gun. He sat outside. That's what it was. Yeah, he would come in, put his guns in the bushes, and you know, whatever. So they found a gun. They brought him into my office, and I'm sitting there. And he comes in with, of course, the guidance counselor. She was a lady and all emotionally attached and stuff like that. She's invested. She don't deal with, she's all about, you know, let's make this, and they give this person more choices and figure out how we can maybe. I was exhausted when it came down to dealing with this kid. Now, I'm all about trying to help you if I can see you can be helped. But when I discern you're abusing my kindness, my grace, my suggestions and things like that, I'm going, I got to cut you. I got to cut you deep. So he comes in and he sits down and I say, hey, man, sign these papers. What's this? I'm expelling you. What? Why? For what? What do you mean for what? You had a gun outside in the bushes. Well, man, it's dangerous when I walk home and stuff, man. I just got it. I said, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You brought a weapon on our property. I said, so you got to go. Now, of course, the guidance counselor sitting there. She gets all busted up. She's looking at me like, Mr., don't do it to him. I mean, give him more. I said, Miss Tony, if you can't handle this, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and step out, please. And this guy went in to why if I do this, I'm gonna ruin his life. He's like, man, if you kick me out, man, my probation says that if I get kicked out, I gotta go back to jail. I said, I know. You gonna let me go to jail? Absolutely. No, you're gonna let yourself go to jail by bringing this weapon onto the property. Man, come on, man, man, please, man. Now he's hitting with the please. He's concerned. He wants mercy. And I sat up and I said, remember you pulled the fire alarm? Yeah. Okay. What happened? You let me back. Okay. Remember you was fighting? Yeah. What happened? Instead of expelling me, you just suspended me for a couple weeks. Yeah. And now you're here again. Okay. So what do you think I should do? You probably should expel me. Absolutely. Here, sign the papers. Boom. Gone. Went right back to jail. I don't know what happened to him. Didn't have to lose a wink of sleep at all. Because I let him know that if I sit back and I tolerate this, I send a bad message, first of all, to every other kid in the school. That's right. Now I'm setting them up for failure. Now I'm about to set them up to be sorry. When they see me let you get away with stuff, and now they're saying, oh, shoot, well, maybe I should start doing stuff like that. Or allowing you to go back into the classroom and take the rest of them. So I had to deal with this person very aggressively. I didn't make excuses for him. I didn't say because of slavery, because of Black Lives Matter, because of this and nope. But this guy will. This guy who claims he loves black people and everybody else is attacking him is really allowing black people to be sorry.
On a certain level, because he's not trying to get at the underlying root causes. He's not looking at examples.
No, you're not trying to get at the underlying root causes. The underlying root causes is fathers not being in those cribs, okay? Incentives for the household to not have an authoritative figure in the household. And condensing all of these folks into certain areas that breeds thinking and traps them in a systematic way of life and thinking. And then Democrats who rule those cities encourage and allow them to act a fool by not punishing them. Yeah, there you go. You don't want to punish your potential future voters and stuff like that y'all got trapped in those areas and stuff like that. And definitely don't go to a different school. Don't you take yourself to another different school or anything like that, because you might get smart enough to realize that the Democrats are the source of your problems. Yeah, you want to know what the source? Yeah, you don't want to get to the source. You are the source. You, this guy right here who makes excuses for him and covers for Democrats and their bad policies and the way they govern, you do that. That's what you do. Yeah, you get paid off of the backs of blacks. That's what you do, Mr. Sellout Man. Claiming you're looking out for them. You love it when black folks become victims because they're acting a fool and police officers have to deal with them harshly because then you get paid. Unbelievable, this bum. Let me at him.
Of how to address rising crime rates that doesn't require a form of policing that leads to increased incarcerality and the like.
You hear this fool? I wish he lived in an all inner city, rough black area. And that's what they were telling him. Yeah, I know they broke in your house 3 times this month. And I know they stole your car. And then, of course, they mugged you. And then that one time they beat you up. But we want to see about making sure that they're not incarcerated. And here's a counselor. So we're going to go ahead and head back to the station. We're going to leave this counselor right here to talk to you. How many times has it been since you've called us? 12? Okay, good. At some point, though, we'll finally arrest these people, or they'll just simply grow out of it. Yeah, that's right. They're going to grow out of their criminal behavior. Yeah, just like, grow out of pimples and things like that. No, they're not going to grow out of it. In fact, they'll probably grow into an adult life of crime. See, that's what prevents or at least discourages them from growing up to become adult criminals, is when you check them and make them fearful of committing crimes when they're younger. But not this guy. He's going to blame all the sources besides, the things that are the real sources. Like Trump coming in and saying, now y'all allowed this to have to come out and pour it out into the streets. It done came all the way to my office. I got to deal with it. And I'm the bad guy, right?
Let's look at what's going on in Baltimore. Let's look at what's happening actually in places like Baltimore and Chicago, right? So part of what we have to do is to understand. And Oakland. We have to understand this, Chris, within the context of Donald Trump's racial politics.
Oh, there it is. This guy. He will be okay with these neighborhoods running this way for eternity. Yeah, he will be okay with these black young men and women who are committing these crimes to continue until they either are shot and killed, they grow up and they do something severe and get thrown in the slam. He would rather that happen. He would rather shield for the Democrats and the way they govern than to say, y'all governing suck. And your policies have encouraged these kids to be this way because you downplay the crime. Yeah, this guy right here. And yet he's talking about his racial. Forget about protecting the black lives in those neighborhoods that are victims of these criminals. But yet it's racial. Yeah, Trump somehow, since he's dealing with a problem that unfortunately impacts a lot of young black adults who y'all allow to embarrass the black community, because that's what it looks like. Yeah, I'm more embarrassed when I sit back and look at these clips and I see all of these wild black kids acting like monkeys in the zoo. That bothers me more than you talking about Donald Trump and his white, that grieving he wants the black community. And I'm going, somebody need to do something. These kids are jumping on cars, going into stores, robbing folks, carjacking folks, shooting and looting, and all of this. And here you are talking about some racism. Boy, I want to beat that guy up in the ring. Only in the ring, though, okay? Remember, whenever I talk about violence, it is willful violence, meaning I want to challenge this black guy right there to a sparring match in the octagon with no rules. That's what I want. Yeah, come in with your little purple glasses on and your feathered down soft helium voice, and we'll go ahead and see who's the problem. Hit that black guy. I'll be like, yo, if I win, all right, this guy right here has to live in all black neighborhoods and stuff like that right in the inner city. Okay? And if you win, I'll retire from doing Kevin's Corner. That means I already know I would win. Let's continue.
And within the context of his effort to get Epstein off the front pages.
Oh, there you go. Jeez, oh man. They think we're stupid. They think we're stupid. Any serious topic that might make the Democrats look bad or make Trump look good, what they do, let's address it. Say he has a motive, y'all. He ain't really doing this because crime is bad. And he's trying to stop folks from getting mugged, robbed, carjacked, murdered, all of that stuff. That's not his real motive. His real motive is racism and distraction from Jeffrey Epstein, who he had nothing to do with. There you go. That's their motive. That's what they're running on. And they platform people like this. Unbelievable. I ain't going to be able to finish. I'm not going to be able to finish tonight. We got another whole half of the show, but I'm on a roll. I'm only going to let this clip finish and then we'll get to the rest of it tomorrow. Let's continue.
I understand David's point, but when we try to treat this as a rational response, then we lose sight of the actual politics that's being played here.
No. See, when you downplay this, it increases. You're talking about a rational response. No, this is a rational response. You know what? This response should have taken place a long time ago. How bad does it need to get before you say, somebody got to do something about this? And yet you're saying it's not a rational response. Yeah, tell that to the victims of all of this crime that's taking place. Look, man, you know what? We're waiting for it to become 24 hours a day, nothing but crime, minute to minute, to where everybody is running and screaming like the purge. Then we'll say, well, I guess we better do something. And else it warrants a rational response. So you just sit back and let it continue. And just say that we hope that it self-corrects. It won't. But you're escaped from all of that. Yeah, you're not really subjected to all of that, you race baiter.
And he's actually trying to give his base red meat to get them off of the Epstein story, and it's on the backs of citizens in Washington, D.C. He's going to undermine the democratic process in the district. And so
that is, he runs that district executive. But yeah, here he is, the backs of blacks or inner city people in DC and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and do what we always do. Throw a fake motive out there for Trump. Make it seem like everything he does is being done for evil, when in reality it's really being done because he looks at this problem and say, we got to keep our citizens safe. And Democrats aren't doing it. But according to this guy, it's to throw his base red meat. It's to just distract from the Jeffrey Epstein files. It's because he hates black folks. He's an evil villain for nothing. All the stuff you're trying to say that's motivating him to do that. Trump wakes up every day and say, what inner city black neighborhood can I go ahead and come in and lay the smackdown on those black kids? These folks, man, need football in the groin.
So I understand what David is trying to say, but we need to be clear about what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah, and I guess you're clear. We need to be clear about what Donald Trump is doing, which is protecting the citizens. Now, you know what? As much as I would love to finish all of this, I think I'm going to skirt ahead because, I mean, these are some, I really got to go back to these liberals. Don't remind me to go back to the liberals. But let's go ahead and get to the end because this lady right here, this lady, now this is what burns me up, guys. Democrats, black liberals, they, how should I say it? They co-opt. they co-opt a lot of simple-minded black folks to come out and defend their stupidity and their bad choices. They do that. And they platform them and they send them out there, I guess, to speak on behalf of black folks, to add the element of suspicion to Trump's behavior or his decision by saying, okay, I'm black. Y'all can see, look at these black people behind me. And we're going to talk about all the reasons why this right here is bad for the black community. Now understand, by defending the Democrat Party, what they're doing is they are really hurting the black community, which all of this crime impacts more than anybody else. So these tools come out, and then the fact that they send somebody out here that looks and sounds like this is even more embarrassing. So these black folks out here who don't want Trump to go in and clear up this, mess that's going on, predominantly committed by young black folks, are really trying to let these black kids be sorry.
Experiencing it firsthand. Well,
Let's go ahead and see what this lady got to say.
Right here, in the black.
Here we go.
working and living down here.
The president has been trying to provoke violence right here, in the black communities. And in the
what does that even mean? The president right there, this is the spokesman, the leadership. He's trying to provoke violence here, right here in the black community. How do you provoke violence? That's what I understand. The violence is there already. He ain't got to do nothing. But he's trying to provoke violence here, right here, in the inner city. Now, the violence is there already. So instead of trying to stop the violence, no, with her interpretation of this, as she tries to allow these black kids to be sorry, is Trump is trying to provoke the violence. By what? Sending law enforcement in, and their very presence discourages violence. But here she is.
brown communities, having ICE kidnap our neighbors.
Now, what that got to do with this? You can tell she's compromised. You can tell right now, as she goes down the list of Democrat talking points, Democrat topics that they find to be important to them, that ain't got nothing to do with the black community. Here she's talking about ICE and our brothers and sisters. I'm going, nope. See, I can tell you're a plant. You're here to force black folks to be sorry by all this propaganda. And you're ignorant and your speech is horrible. But nonetheless, here she is now. She's talking about who? What does illegal immigrants got to do with this? And who else?
And having the black community be harassed. And
Who else?
Down from here.
See,
and then just this morning.
They sent her out there to combine all of their socialist topics and stuff like that. And that's how you know a black liberal has been severely compromised, because they'll cover stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the black community.
One of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau. So we can talk about the numbers going down,
sorry.
but crime is happening.
Yeah, crime is happening. Now let's get back to this black lady.
Going down, but crime is happening every single day because we're...
Come on.
when ICE kidnap our neighbors, having the black community be harassed and profiled and want a response.
Want a response? What is that? You see how broken English? At least put a black person out there that can talk. But here she is. Want a response and stuff like that. Now, maybe she's not watching all the clips that we see on TV. Maybe she's not looking at Who's the demographic that is committing all of this crime? As she sits back and say, you know what, the racial profiling and all this stuff. See, they always use that. But they never are honest enough to say, well, you don't have to racial profile these people because guess what? We all know they were black. Most of these kids that are carjacking, mugging, fighting are black. But you claim that's racial profiling. Then go ahead and show me all of the video footage of large groups of white kids stomping people, jumping people, and going into stores to rob them. Show me that footage. Balance it out for me. So you're telling me the only footage that we see that's uploaded is when only the black kids do all of these things. Yeah, so for some reason, nobody's uploading all of the video footage of the tons of white kids breaking into stores. Yeah, out there in the streets acting a complete fool. Show me that, and then maybe you might have a case. But she's claiming it's racially profiling. No, it's addressing reality, addressing the problem. And by you diverting and saying, really all that is racially profiling, what you're doing is you're forcing black people in those cities to be sorry. You're giving them an excuse to be sorry.
We say, hell no, we won't go.
What does that even mean? What does that mean? What do you mean? You're just going to stay right there? Yeah, I mean, well, you know, are the police going into these neighborhoods trying to tell you to go somewhere? Stupid protesters that don't make any sense. See, this is the folks that they send out there for us on behalf of us to speak for us. No, you don't speak for me. You don't. So first of all, you shouldn't be speaking for nobody. You shouldn't be speaking for the English language the way you're hacking up this statement right here. So the hell no, we won't go. Did they come in and try to displace the black folks in the neighborhood? No? Okay, so what are you talking about? Just something that you think sounds cool and catchy.
We said we won't go. That means we're not going into those mass incarceration, into their prisons and enslavement.
Get it right. The massacre, the prisons and enslavement. What prisons and enslavement are you talking about? See, show me all the black folks that's rounded up and taken to some imprisonment. Show me the illegal immigrants that are taken to some imprisonment and enslavement. What? See, the Democrats, they send these folks out to embarrass us. They're embarrassing black folks. The imprisonments and enslavement. What enslavement are you referring to?
We won't go into their ICE,
Can't get that mess out. Somebody sent this chick out there on behalf of black people. So now she's talking about issues that ain't got nothing to do with black people. So she's definitely a Democrat plant. They couldn't have picked a better one than this though. At least they could speak. So here she is now trying to refer to alligator Alcatraz, which does not even affect black folks. But here she is.
Because his beautiful.
It's beautiful. Y'all hear that? Beautiful. Beautiful, Eddie. Beautiful. Can't get the Tifo. No, beautiful. His beautiful. What is this beautiful what?
Yeah, we won't go to where alligators live.
There it is. Couldn't get it out. Couldn't get alligator Alcatraz. Just straight up summed it up. We won't go to where alligators live. Oh my goodness. Send in more troops. Okay. You only encourages me to send in more law enforcement to those neighborhoods. So she said, we won't go where those alligators live, y'all. Who's doing that? Who's even going where alligators live? That's my question. And how are you going to stop that anyway? How are you going to stop them from getting sent to alligator Alcatraz? But we won't go. Now, remember, she's supposed to be out there talking on behalf of inner city black folks that's being targeted by Trump's white supremacy and stuff. But now she's talking about alligators living and stuff like that.
Hell no, we won't go.
Dumb. Sounds dumb.
Today we gather to speak plainly about policy path that sounds strong, but in truth, it weakens the very safety we seek.
Okay.
We believe there is a better way to protect us all.
How?
One that respects rights to build trust and keep our communities truly safe.
How?
And that is fascism free.
It's fascism. Y'all hear? That is fascism free. Not fascism. That's fascism. So we're supposed to take the lady that speaks horribly seriously. Now, what is she talking about? And what are you talking about fascism? What are you talking about? Your inner cities. Maybe she's not watching. How about you go in there and call all these young folks to a meeting and stuff and say, y'all cut it out now. Y'all making us look. No, you can't do that. No, harsh language doesn't work. A whole bunch of pro-black, the language don't work. A whole bunch of little protesting and saying, hell no, we won't go. Won't discourage those kids from going in and robbing and looting and stealing. That's not working. So apparently Trump's way of working is going to what? Hurt those black kids or force them to either stop committing the crimes or at least protect the folks that aren't the criminals by locking those kids up.
Fear is not a roadmap to safety.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Fear is a huge discouragement. That's right. It's a deterrent. Like I said, didn't want to go to the penitentiary because I saw results. I saw consequences growing up, and I said, whoa, man, they done caught this dude finally. That was one of my boys, and he was trying to encourage me. He was trying to, hey, man, why we still rob this house, man? I'm telling you, they never be home. You robbed and got caught. Okay, that's what not to do. But here she is. Fear is not an encouragement.
It's a burial.
It's a burial. Y'all hear that? It's a burial. Oh, God. You don't see black conservatives when they come out speaking like this. They ain't going to, nobody screened her burial.
It fails hardest on the black community.
Hardest. It fails hardest. Now, is anybody able to actually understand what the heck she's trying to say? I don't know what she's trying to say. It's a bird and the alligators and the heart hurtest on the hurt. Okay, wait a minute. And what is all of that on your hat?
That already we bear disproportionate share of civilians.
What but she's speaking like buckwheat. Look at my dove in all the wrong places. Ooh, na 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 na. Buckwheat. Man, good grief.
Stops and forces. I want to be clear. We've been here before.
No, you're not clear at all. Yeah, the first couple seconds of your speech, I'm like, what the heck is she talking about? The bit. Speak like that character from Fat Albert. How do you be doing, Fat Albert?
This is a long history. Well before today, the black communities bear the brunt of aggressive policing. Data and reports from many credible organizations.
Now she's reading what the Democrats wrote for, the NAACP wrote for. Read these stats. Come out and say this. Try to make it seem like now we got to go back in history. What they got to do with the crime that these kids are committing today? Now we got to go back to the long history of slavery and then Jim Crow and all of this and this and that. These were black folks who were good citizens who were minding their business, and Democrats wanted to keep them as slaves. And when they couldn't do it anymore, then they harassed them. Didn't want to vote. These were folks. This was during the time where black folks were prospering. They weren't out there riding motorcycles all in the street. They weren't out there doing donuts in the street with stolen cars, breaking into stores and looting and stuff. They weren't out there doing that. But now they are. So you want them to be sorry. You want to try to go ahead and bubble wrap them from consequences by bringing back the history. See, because that's one of the strategies of the Democrats and these Marxists. Yeah, let's go ahead and use the past the Democrats were responsible for so that it could deter anybody from dealing with the very present danger that's going on. And by doing that, what you're going to do is end up allowing these black kids to be sorry. And I'm not going to let them be sorry like you are. Let's continue.
They should show patterns. Black people are more likely to be stopped, searched, questioned, arrested, and harmed.
I don't know what that is. Can you finish the statement or word at least? Can you stick the syllable and harm? I don't know harm. Give me an M. M. You got your M. You got your M. Give me it. I can't get one of those. You can't stick the M. Landing. Harm. So now here she is talking about some harm. So now, why? Why is it that these black kids or black folks that might be stopped and pulled over and this and that? Maybe you should look at those crime stats. I mean, I would love it for it not to be the case that black people are responsible for a high percentage of crime. I would love that. So when folks are, you a sellout? No, I'm not. I'm mad at those numbers. But guess what? I'm not going to make excuses for those numbers because you'll never have a solution to that problem. If you try to make it seem like the only reason these kids are being interacted with and stuff is not because they actually are suspects or done something that warrant that. It's because they're black and that the cops are racially profiling. If the shoe fits, wear it. If the large amount of crime is being committed in certain areas by certain people, then you have to deal with that. Or the alternative is to let those areas just be sorry. Just forget about them. It's greater than us, far gone. I feel like that oftentimes about Democrat states and cities, often where they say, man, just let it all collapse. But no. Yeah, somebody with some conscience and somebody, with some type of civility got to do something. Okay, because these folks aren't. I guess your solution is let them keep committing the crimes. Because like I said, maybe they'll self-correct.
Encounters with the law. When you have the presence of federal agents or the National Guard to daily life in these neighborhoods, the burden can multiply.
What the heck did she just say? Well, the bad, the beat, the bus, the good bird. Now you sound like Beaker. The birdie. Off the Muppets.
Not by making harm more rare, but making it more visible and more likely to escalate. So be clear, this has been going on.
So the presence of law enforcement in these areas make crime more likely to escalate? The last couple of days this has been taking place, crime has gone down. They are arresting folks. That right there is what makes it go down. Nobody's out there committing carjackings when the police are standing right there. Boy, these people. But they send them out there to make black folks be sorry. And that's why you listen to Kev from Kevin's Corner. Because I'm not going to sit back and make excuses so the black folks can be sorry.
But as you bring more policemen, it's going to escalate.
Yeah, that's what I said. That usually happens, right? More policemen and their presence, what makes the crime go up? There you go. Hey, 2 or 3 cops on the street corner right there, and I guess a group of young scholars say, all right, now we look at all those cops over there. Let's go ahead and carjack this person right there in front of all the cops. Now, do you see the ignorance that comes out of these people? This woman right here is being used by somebody, okay, to make folks be sorry, to make excuses for all of this, and to try to go ahead and paint this as racism.
Black Washingtonians have long recognized that community violence cannot be solved through state violence. And if
state violence. So let me understand this lady that's being used. Trump is sending everybody in there to these areas to just straight go in and start committing violent acts against these young people, right? Hey, no reason whatsoever. Just go in and start beating them. Just throwing them in jail. Don't ask questions. Nah, don't ask questions to these people. Don't allow them to go ahead and do something that warrants you confronting them. Don't do that. Don't wait for that. Just go in and say, hey, look, there's one over there. Let's get him. Let's round them up. These are the black tools that they send out here on behalf of the black community. It's unreal.
ask for meaningful investments and solutions that are proven to work.
Proven to work. Show me. Show me where these are community investments that are proven to work. Show me where they're working. In inner city Chicago, out there in LA, and DC, all the black areas that y'all run, show me where they're working.
Racist over-policing goes beyond DC. As the roots of American police.
The roots. As the root. Maybe this woman grew up with a speech impediment or something. But if you can't pronounce that R, don't say it. The roots. You put a W on the front of roots. The roots. Boy, not only do you send an ignorant black person out there, but one that can't pronounce words. The roots of so let's continue.
Policing in many regions, like enslaved patrols.
Enslaved patrols. Then you go ahead and try to make these connections to slavery, and it just insults anybody with intelligence. It insults their intelligence. Slavery. So you're saying that trying to stop crime from happening, trying to protect often black folks in black neighborhoods from violence is going back to slavery. Roots. I can't say roots. It's roots. Roots. So she wants to go back to the roots.
Have been enslaving and murdering black people with freedom for punishment for centuries.
A bunch of just gibberish. Not only a bunch of gibberish on the fact that her facts and stuff like that makes no sense and has no connection, but it's a bunch of gibberish, literally. Mumble jumble man. I can't understand that. We speak English in this country. We speak American. That's right. I want some American spoken, not no mumble jumble man. And it's an attitude, not a language.
I stand in front of you today with a signal.
A signal.
To the residents of D.C. and the country. That we will not be idle as oppressive structures try to harm our...
What? Idle as oppressive structures? What is that?
Our communities and take power. The fight for black liberation and the liberation of all people will not stop no matter our oppression, intimidation, manipulation tactics. We have the right to demand respect, to protect ourselves, and protect each other.
Yeah. As your neighborhoods are being just, overran with crime, violence, lots of black folks being shot and killed, and things like that. And you're talking about protect ourselves from who? Apparently, you're not protecting yourself from the black on black crime. So you, I guess, are saying that the patrol, the police and stuff, they're not going to protect you. So what? You got the Black Soul Brothers? You bring back the Black Panthers? Are y'all going to be policing these inner cities and stuff like that? No. So now the police are the bad guys. The ones that's supposed to come whenever y'all call. Because I guarantee you, if something pop off in her neighborhood or her house, even if it's done by a black person, she'll call the cops. Yeah, let a couple young black scholars rob her car. See if she say, I ain't calling the black man. I'm going to let us handle it internally. Yeah, we as the black community should be policing our own. Nope, you would call them and you wouldn't care if they sent the whitest man ever. Almost translucent. I can see through him. He's clear. That's how white he is. But as long as you get my car back, that's exactly what she would be doing. These people burn me up, man. And they clapping for that trash. She thinks she dropped it.
And as the executive director of Hers Rider Strings, I want to name. White people's civil rights have never been in danger because they are white.
And your civil rights aren't in danger either. Okay, none of these folks in that area, civil rights, and you know who civil rights are in danger? The law-abiding citizens that are victims of all of these crimes because your party that you support has dummied down the consequences, which allows the citizens to become vulnerable to criminals. But here you are. Yeah, you're talking about civil rights somehow.
The white civil rights represents the desire from the Jim Crow. Full stop.
What does
and Hers Riders Dreams, and as we support Free DC, we're
free? What the crap? I want them to get somebody out there that's been working on enunciating syllables.
Fighting against mass incarceration, policing, ICE, violence towards immigrants and Muslims, violence in Palestine, worker exploitation.
See, there it is. Go down. Here's what I need you to go ahead and say. Black lady who's supposed to be representing black people. Here, I'm going to list all of the other stupid things of wokeness. And I want you to read it like these are things that black people are actually engaged in and interested in and feel passionately about. That list of crap, I'm going, what is that? That ain't got nothing to do with me. Just reading LGBTQ, I thought that transgender and Egypt, free Palestine, and then
Asian and more.
Unbelievable. And that's the best they got. These are the folks that they send out there to make black people be sorry. But that's why you come to Kevin's Corner. Because I'm not going to let black people be sorry. That woman right there is pretty sorry, though. Yeah, she's pretty sorry. So I will be covering the rest of those clips, but just not now. I had to go ahead and rush it so I can get out of here, get something to eat and stuff like that. But I want to tell you, I appreciate you guys still hanging in there with me, even though it's been some days. My phone is acting up. I almost wasn't able to even go live because this phone is broke. Got to go get the phone replaced and things like that. So yeah, you guys, I love y'all. I love y'all to death. My audience is awesome. Just want to say thank you for your support. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Share my videos. Follow me on all the other platforms. Don't forget, if you want little broken up clips of the live stream, you got to subscribe to Stop and Think About It. Links are below this video. If you want to support the channel through my Cash App and my PayPal link, you can do that as well. The links are below that, this video and others as well. All right. Other than that, man, let's get out of here. Boy, after listening to that lady hack up the English language, man, boy, she need to go back and get hooked on phonics right up in here. Hook her right there on some phonics. All right, so now, somebody said Gizmo and Nala. Oh, I don't think y'all want it. Y'all want it? Y'all gonna be mad when y'all see Nala. She looks like a whippet. Let me see if I can get him. Hold on. 1 second. Wanna see you whip it. Want to see you dance. Give me just a minute of your time tonight. All right. Send in the dogs. Oh, God. Almost didn't even recognize him. Come here, Nala. Come here. Yeah. Y'all ready for this? She looks like a baby Doberman Pinscher. She got her butt shaved all the way down. Yeah. Yeah, I came in, I was like, all right, where's Nala? This is Nala. I was like, what? That's how low they had to shave her. Look at that. The tail, the butt, everything. However, they were able to at least salvage a little bit of Gizmo. Yeah, they saved your hair, your ears and stuff, and your tail. So you got the fluffy tail still. Yeah. They had to cut the legs and stuff. But it'll grow back. At least now that I'm on a regiment to get their hair cut. It'll go back. All right, so God bless America. Let's get out of here. Oh, CD. Up north, got hands around y'all throats. Yeah. Take care.